networks with renewable energy source by no other person but Mr. OFOR ALIGWEKWE, the CEO, Energy Solutions. Please can we give him a round of applause as he comes. Mr. OFOR, you're welcome, sir. Let's keep clapping until he comes.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you, Afritex, for giving us this adjustable mic. Usually they are taller than me, and then I have to be fighting over it. No, I'm okay. This is not going to be a PowerPoint presentation. We're not going to spend time looking at the screens. We're just going to try to find practical ways of solving the problems and identifying solutions for them. So we're going to make this as interactive as possible. My name is actually OFOR ALIGWEKWE. It's an Igbo name, 100%. And the company name is Green Gold Energy. So we're a renewable energy firm, and we integrate solutions, vertical solutions across industries. Quickly from the title, the beauty of the title or the topic that we have says powering cellular networks. So we already know what we want to do, and then it says renewable energy. So the solution set is kind of already identified and narrowed down for us. All over the country, if you look around, you're going to see solar projects, solar street lights. You're going to see people that have inverters. You're going to see different types of solar applications. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time discussing or describing what a solar panel is. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. What I'm going to do right away is to go into the reasons we should consider using solar solutions. One, to power our cellular networks, and then two, try to get some information from the audience on what are the challenges you faced in trying to implement power solutions for cellular networks, and if not cellular networks, other kinds of scenarios that you might have. And then based on those identified challenges and problems, we go straight into what recommended solutions are, and how you can go about implementing a successful solution. The key success factors in this case. As much as possible, we are going to be vendor independent. The reason we have some products that we offer here is just to show you what some of the products might look like in case the questions come up. The idea is not to sell any of those. If you give me business, I'll love it, but then, that's not why we're doing this. Okay, good. One, like most of the speakers have said here, the operational cost of running a business in Nigeria is very high. One of the things that is highest, the most, topmost on a small business or in telecoms is the cost of generating your own electricity. From our military men who are somewhere in Maiduguri or out there fighting with insurgents or Boko Haram as it may be, they carry power generators and the diesel and petrol generators, and they carry either petrol or diesel. When they run out of it in the middle of the bush and their supply line is cut off, they lose command and control completely, because they wouldn't have the ability to be able to charge their walkie-talkies or communication devices. Then we bring it down to ourselves in our places of residence, and then bring it to the telecoms companies. For telecoms companies and operators, the cost of being able to power a base station, which is all those towers, masts you see, that has their radios, their multiplexers, their antennas, is high. Sometimes where you see, like if you look around the city, places where you see the masts, you see small houses there, like containerized houses or things they build where they put in air conditioning systems, they put in massive generators, and they will even have a diesel tank, and then have people doing that routinely. When you travel from here to the United States or London and you're like, wow, in this place the service is so good, the network is never dropping and everything, those people can afford to put massive equipment in a point on a mast that will have the capacity to carry the desired load without worrying about providing themselves, for instance, the backbone fiber, like we've just been told, or worrying about how to power the equipment they're putting on the mast. So in the case of Nigeria, the benefits in using renewable energy is that when you're using solar power products as a means of powering either your homes, telecoms equipment, your military gadgets, medical facilities, educational institutions, you almost have like just your cost of ownership. Normally when you're looking at the cost or money you spend in a quick piece of equipment, most people will tell you about TCO, total cost of ownership. They're looking at the cost of acquisition, buying something like buying your car, and then the cost of using it, the cost of running it. When you have a generator for a telecoms company that is in my village, which is very far from here, or somewhere in Borno, or somewhere in remote part of Ondo State, they have to find a way of always paying manpower to drive petrol and diesel to the place, just like you buy. If you're using solar, that is cut off completely, because when you're using a solution like that, you will not need petrol or you will not need diesel. Now, I'll jump straight into what are the pitfalls implementing projects of that nature. And in looking at that, I'll tell you the same reasons that you see a solar power street light on the highway, or I wouldn't, if I say solar power street light on the highway that is not working, it might not be correct, because most of them don't work all the time, like you see on the streets here. So some kind of thing that is meant to be a street lighting that is solar powered and they are not functioning, is the same challenges they have, the same pitfalls that you have, is exactly what you're going to have when you're powering your masts, when you're powering your houses. In fact, the masts that you power with the equipment and radio will normally have, on the average, just about the power you need for someone that is in a very small apartment that just wants to power his fridge, 1 or 2 air conditioners, like in a 3-bedroom, and his other electronic appliances. What are those pitfalls? 1, the components required for you to be able to do a solar project, and if you're going to power equipment that is using grid electricity, in this case AC, in this case something that is running on your 220 volts, you're going to need 1, your solar panel. After your solar panel, you're going to need, at the bottom, your battery. Now, the battery becomes optional depending on what you want to do. And I'll tell you why. Your solar panel's job is simple. Take the energy from the sun in terms of the light. It's good to have warm temperatures, but not hot. As the temperature gets too high, your solar panel performance drops too. So it takes the energy from the sun and it converts it to electrical energy, and that electrical energy has to go somewhere. It's either it's powering an appliance immediately, or you're storing it for later use. At night, the sun disappears, so your solar panel will stop generating electrical energy. So in the case, for instance, of your house or for your mast, you need a battery at the end, because the battery has to store the energy your telecoms equipment will use at night, because we make phone calls at night, right? Beautiful. Now, however, if you're implementing a solution whereby you do not need power at night, for instance, it's a pump, like a water pump, you might find people making costs that are high because they are putting batteries. If you're powering something like a water pump in your house, and you have the right size of water tank that can serve your family or any of your uses at night, you don't need to spend money buying the battery, because you pump during the day and you consume during the night. Now good. So let's go back to a telecom scenario. The other components that we require in the chain between your solar panel and your battery and the load, which is what you want to power. In this case, we'll call it a base station for a telecoms company that you want to power, will be pieces of equipment that helps you manage the electricity that is generated, 1, and also pieces of equipment that can help you reconvert the electrical current, electrical power that's coming from the solar panel or from the battery in a form that your equipment can use it. So the first thing you're likely going to have after your solar panel and in the case where you're having a battery will be your charge controller. Now, for your charge controller, the purpose of your charge controller is very simple, and what it does is to control charging, and that's why it's called a charge controller. And what are you charging? The battery. The process of storing the power from the solar panel on the battery is called charging. Charging your batteries, just like you charge your car batteries with your alternator. So what the charge controller does is, it's just an intelligent device that does 2 things. 1, it ensures that the rate at which the battery is charged is not a rate that will damage the battery. 1, that's what you look out for in a good charge controller. 2, it ensures that in the time when your solar panel is not generating electricity, for instance at night, that the battery does not lose power, because the way it works is the battery is permanently connected, and what happens is when you're not charging it from the solar panel at night, the power will start coming the other way since it's not coming this way. So you lose. So it manages that. And so that's what you look for in a good charge controller. Now you have to be very careful about something. When you're in this part of the world, you hear a lot of people. Like I went to have a meeting with chief executive of a state, and someone that was there, immediately I walked in, the first thing he says is, "Are your panels monocrystalline or polycrystalline?" And I said, in our region, that is not the issue. So when it comes to your charge controller, you're probably going to find somebody who's going to be telling you, "I need an MPPT charge controller, multi-power point tracking charge controller." Actually, MPPT is a wonderful technology. And what does the technology do? The technology allows your charge controller to optimize the charge rate of your solar panel. Every solar panel, because it's an electrical device, has how it works, the voltage at which it works. That voltage at which you normally connect it to your device will normally standardize. They are not like midway. You normally have to do them according to your battery and some other things. So you might have a 12 volt, 24 volt, 48 volt.